Hello everyone, today I'm going to tell you about our cell phones. So we all have cell phones, but what we don't think about is the danger of cell phones. Cell phones are responsible for 1 out of 4 crashes in the US, according to the injury and law firm of Edgar Snyder. That also, the National Safety Council reports that the cell phone use while driving leads to 1.6 million crashes every year, which is just an insane number and something that we don't even realize while we're driving. I'm 23, so I know that I got my first cell phone in middle school, and I'm sure a lot of us have. I've been on my phone my whole life. I'd say I know for a fact that is addicting, and I think most of us do know that we always want to check our phones. Sometimes I think I get a notification even if I don't, and it's just a common problem between everyone. I don't think I just have that problem. I know a lot of people do. So we all love our phones, but the danger is really unknown. And we try to disconnect ourselves and separate from the fact that, driving and texting or being on our phones during times where we shouldn't, we just think that the need to look at our phone outweighs everything else. But not being able to disconnect from our phones and separate them is causing a very big problem, and it's very hard for us, and it's very bad for everyone else while we're driving, who we're driving next to, the people who have families, and really everyone. Today I'm going to tell you about the addiction to our cell phones and how dangerous it is to text and drive, and we're also going to discuss ways that we're able to disconnect from our phone and separate it a little and make it easier for us to not look at it while we're driving. So like I said, I've been addicted to my phone since I got it, since in middle school, and it's really nice to have. It is very convenient and helps us in many ways throughout the day. But the constant want and satisfaction we get by looking at them and the way they have taken away that awkward silence and stress is really helpful. And here's a quote from healthline.com. In an article it states, "Because so many people use their phones as tools of social interaction, they become accustomed to the constant checking them and for the hit of dopamine that released when they connect with others on social media or some app." And I know this is very true. I know that me constantly, I'm always like, even when I'm not thinking about anything, it always goes to my phone and wow, I wonder what's happening on Instagram or Facebook or Snapchat. And I know that's very dangerous and it is addicting. We all have that a little addiction to our phones that makes it hard for us to stay away from them. So I commute every day for work, and on my way to San Francisco, where I work, I see constant amounts of people driving, thousands of people driving, and I would say definitely during my week I see at least 100 people on their phone texting. And here's a quote that I would like to state is, "Texting while driving is 6 times more likely to cause an accident than drinking and driving." This was really crazy for me because I just couldn't believe that everyone talks about drunk driving, and honestly, we'll get a ticket if we're texting and driving, but everyone says, you won't be able to drive forever if you get a DUI. There's going to be years of your life that you're not able to drive a car, and at least me, I put that on a very high standard, wow, I could not imagine losing my license, and I would never want to not be able to drive for years of my life. So I am very serious about not drinking and driving. But texting and driving causes 6 times the amount of accidents, and I just seem like that is very underrated and we barely hear about that. So that was really crazy for me to read. We all know it's hard to separate from our phones, but hearing these statistics, I hope that you guys are listening and realize that texting and driving is so dangerous, even more than drunk driving, even though we barely hear that. So, our phones are addicting in many ways, but there are ways that can help me and everyone else separate from our phones while we're driving or doing activities where we shouldn't be on them. An article from BuzzFeed suggests that putting your phone on silent is one of the best ways to separate yourself from your phone, disconnect, and try not to look at it. I saw this quote and I just thought this was the best example for all of us because it's something easy for us to do and simple where we can put our phone on silent, I put my phone in like a cell phone holder on my dash and just try to not look at the notifications. And I know not hearing the notifications makes it a lot easier to put it down and separate from it a little bit while you're making your drive to wherever you're going. And I know that a lot of us use our phones for navigation and stuff like that, and that it is hard to disconnect from that stuff, but I think if you are using it correctly and you have your phone up where you can see it and it's only giving you the notifications, that is a sufficient amount of time looking at it and being away from it. On another article from BuzzFeed, it says that if you're going 55 miles per hour and driving, 5 seconds looking away would be 100 yards. So you're driving a whole football field in that 100 yards. You're driving a whole football field 100 yards while checking a 5-second notification or responding to a text. And I just think that's crazy. So I think putting your phone on silent and separating is very helpful and a great way to start. I know there's also, like my phone says, are you driving? And it will ask me, it's just an update that to ask me if I'm driving and it won't alert me already. And I know that cell phone companies are already starting to implement things like that because they're realizing how dangerous it is. So now that we went over the addiction to cell phones and all the dangers of driving, I would hope that everyone would consider putting their phone down and taking a little break from it, and because it is really hard to separate from. I know it is. I know at work I get fake notifications. I think I get a notification, I pull out my phone and there's nothing. So I know that our bodies want that dopamine and we want a notification and we want to check it as soon as we can. But we have to learn to stay away from that. And separating them from our phones won't just help us, but it will help other people around us. We'll save people from crashing, we won't crash into someone, and we'll be able to come home to our families safe and the people that we love and care about. We're all guilty of this occasionally. I know a lot of people like to say, oh, I don't text and drive, but I've seen it on the road daily. I know if I get an important text from my boss or something and I'm driving, I try to hit the microphone and talk to it verbally, and that never works out, and I end up grabbing it and just trying to make a text real quick. And it's horrible, and I'm going to try my best to stop, and I hope everyone else would too. And just to tie it all back together, thousands of lives are lost over this, and next time you're about to answer a text, we all need to think to ourselves, is someone's life worth opening our Instagram notifications?